Imagine this. A company basically synonymous with treating one specific devastating disease. They're so good they've built a near monopoly.
Right.
Now, picture that same company taking all that success, all that financial power, and deciding to jump bravely into totally new, hyper-competitive markets.
Yeah, going head to head with the absolute giants of the pharma world.
Exactly. That's the story we're diving into today. Our mission for you as we explore Vertex Pharmaceuticals is to really get under the hood of this bold pivot.
Yeah.
How are they shifting from being this, dominant single disease company to a much more diversified biotech powerhouse?
We'll be looking at the strategy, what's behind it.
Yeah, the surprising facts, what it means for patients, obviously, and the huge opportunities, but also the significant risks ahead. Our deep dive today, it's grounded in a really comprehensive report called Vertex Pharmaceuticals. Biotech Deep Dive. Gives us a detailed look at their history, the financials, that ambitious pipeline, and these big strategic shifts. So let's kick things off right at the beginning. Vertex's origins. Founded back in 1989, Dr. Joshua Boger and Kevin J. Kinsella.
Right.
And they had this, pretty ambitious mission statement to transform the ways serious diseases are treated. And right from the get-go, they embraced something called rational drug design.
Yeah, and what's fascinating here, and really still core to Vertex's identity today, is that commitment to rational drug design.
Okay, so what does that actually mean in practice?
Well, think of it like this. Instead of the old way, trial and error, just screening thousands of compounds, hoping one sticks,
Right.
they used sophisticated computer modeling, visualizing disease-causing proteins in 3D.
Okay.
And then they'd custom design molecules to precisely target those proteins, almost like designing a specific key for a specific lock.
Got it. Very targeted.
Exactly. And that philosophy, it was famously chronicled in a book, The Billion-Dollar Molecule. It's been central to them for, over 3 decades now. It really shaped their culture. Very resilient, very science-driven, even through early challenges, like with HIV protease inhibitors.
So a deep scientific foundation from day one.
Yeah.
But, every company has those moments, those turning points, maybe even painful ones.
Yeah.
Was there something early on, after the founding, that really shaped their modern strategy?
Oh, absolutely. A defining moment, and yes, quite a painful one, came from Incivek, their hepatitis C drug.
Incivek, right, I remember that.
Launched in 2011, hit blockbuster status incredibly fast. I mean, huge success.
But then
it got out-innovated, and fast. Competitors like Gilead Sciences came out with Sovaldi. And Vertex, they had to pull Incivek by 2014. It sparked a genuine crisis within the company.
Wow, okay. That sounds like a brutal lesson. From blockbuster to discontinued in just a few years.
It really was. And it raises that key question. What did they learn from that failure? How did that shape them?
So what was the crucial lesson? How did it fundamentally change their approach?
That failure, that experience, became the absolute bedrock for their modern corporate strategy, especially under the CEO at the time, Dr. Jeffrey Leiden.
Okay.
It basically instilled this core ethos: never be out-innovated, ever again.
Don't let that happen twice.
Precisely. And it led directly to what they now call the Vertex virtuous cycle.
The virtuous cycle. Okay, break that down for us.
It's the repeatable formula. 3 steps. First, achieve dominance in a disease area. Develop what they call serially better and better medicines that actually treat the underlying cause.
Like they did in cystic fibrosis.
Exactly. They perfected it in CF. Second, take the substantial revenues from those dominant drugs and disproportionately reinvest them back into R&D, fuel the next wave.
Okay.
And third, diversify. Use that R&D engine to go into new disease areas and repeat the cycle.
Makes sense. Dominate, reinvest, diversify.
It's a disciplined approach. They call it modality agnostic, meaning they don't care if it's a small molecule, a gene therapy, whatever. As long as it targets a disease with high unmet need where they really understand the root cause. So it directly links that 1989 founding principle, that rational design idea, to their very diverse pipeline we see today in 2025.
And leading that charge now, since April 2020, is the current CEO, Dr. Reshma Kewalramani.
That's right.
Often described as a triple threat: medical background, research background, business experience.
A very strong combination for this kind of strategy.
And her predecessor, Dr. Leiden, he's still involved.
Yep, he's now chairing the board of directors, so there's continuity there as well.
Okay, so we have the strategy, the virtuous cycle. But the strategy like that, making big bets on new areas, it needs serious financial muscle, right?
Absolutely.
How has this cycle actually translated into the kind of cash flow that lets them fund these huge R&D efforts and acquisitions.
Yeah. Well, their financial performance really shows the cycle in action. If you look at the big picture, their income statement, it's just dominated by the high margin revenues from their cystic fibrosis CF franchise.
That's the engine.
It's the powerhouse cash flow engine, exactly. For fiscal year 2024, total revenues hit $11.02 billion.
Wow.
That was a 12% jump from 2023, and driven almost entirely by their CF drugs like Trikafta or Kaftrio in Europe.
And that growth is continuing.
Seems so. First half of 2025, revenues hit nearly $3 billion just for Q2, another 12% increase year over year. And now you're starting to see early contributions from the new launches to Aliftraq, Casgevy, Genevieve.
Now, there's something interesting in the 2024 numbers. You might see headlines about Vertex reporting a net loss for that year, over $500 million.
Right.
But as our report digs into, that number is, well, pretty misleading, isn't it?
It really is, yeah. That GAAP net loss, generally accepted accounting principles of $536 million. It was overwhelmingly hit by one massive, one-time accounting charge, $4.6 billion.
$0.6 billion. For what?
It was what's called Acquired in Process Research and Development, or AIPR&D. Basically, it related to their big acquisition of Alpine Immune Sciences.
Ah, okay. So an investment in the future pipeline.
Exactly. A huge investment. And accounting rules for that specific kind of investment require you book it as an expense up front, even though the payoff is down the road.
So if you adjust for that one-time charge.
Their underlying profitability was actually remarkably strong. Their non-GAAP net income, excluding that charge, was $111 million for 2024.
Okay, that paints a very different picture.
It does, and they bounced right back to strong GAAP profitability by the second quarter of 2025, reporting $1 billion. It really shows the true strength of that CF cash engine underneath.
So that's a truly formidable amount of cash they're generating. What do they do with it all? What are the priorities?
Well, they maintain a really strong balance sheet. As of June 30, 2025, they had $12.0 billion in cash, cash equivalents, and marketable securities.
$12 billion.
Yep. And a lot of that is generated straight from operations, like $1.89 billion just in the first 6 months of 2025.
So that gives them options.
Immense strategic flexibility. We saw it with that Alpine acquisition, $4.9 billion, all cash, a major move. And they're also returning some capital to shareholders. They've got a $3 billion share repurchase program ongoing, bought back nearly 1 million shares in 2024.
And that commitment to R&D, that never be out-innovated idea we talked about.
Yeah.
How does that translate into actual spending?
You see it directly in their spending patterns. They reinvest disproportionately in innovation.
Yeah.
Take fiscal 2024. R&D expenses totaled $3.63 billion.
Okay.
Now think about this. That's roughly 32.9% of their total revenue.
Wow, nearly a third.
Yeah, that ratio is significantly higher than many of their large-cap pharma peers. It's a really clear signal of how serious they are about internal discovery.
And other costs, admin, sales.
Those selling, general, and administrative, or SG&A, costs are rising too, up 15% in the first half of 2025.
Why is that?
It's a direct result of this strategic evolution. They're becoming a multi-product commercial company, right? So they need to build the infrastructure to support multiple global launches simultaneously.
Makes sense. Gearing up for the new products.
Exactly.
So looking ahead, the full year 2025, what's the forecast looking like?
They've reiterated their guidance. They're expecting total revenues between $11.85 billion and $12.0 billion.
So continued strong growth.
Yeah, implies robust growth still coming from CF, plus those contributions from the newly launched products starting to kick in.
And the spending side.
They're projecting combined non-GAAP R&D, AIP R&D, and SG&A expenses to be somewhere between $4.9 billion and $5.0 billion.
So still investing heavily.
Absolutely. Sustained high levels of investment to keep pushing that pipeline forward.
Okay, so all these ambitious new ventures we're about to get into, they're really built on this incredible foundation, their dominance in cystic fibrosis.
Yeah.
Talk about that CF fortress. How did they achieve such an incredible position?
It's really a masterclass, isn't it? Vertex established a near monopoly in CF. Their portfolio, they have 5 licensed CFTR modulators.
CFTR modulators, okay.
These are the medicines that target the underlying faulty protein in CF. And together, these drugs can treat about 90% of the estimated 109,000 people living with CF in key markets: US, Europe, Australia, Canada.
90%. That's incredible.
It's a landmark achievement in precision medicine, really. Their drugs are now treating over 75,000 patients globally. That's more than 2/3 of everyone eligible. accessible in over 60 countries.
And the cornerstone drug, the one that really cemented their position, was Trikafta, right?
That's the one, Trikafta, or Kaftrio as it's known in Europe, approved by the FDA in 2019.
What made it such a game changer?
It was just a quantum leap in CF care.
Yeah.
Suddenly, this transformative therapy was available for patients with the most common CF-causing mutation.
Huh.
It drove the vast majority of the franchise revenue, over $10 billion in sales in 2024 alone. It became the absolute standard of care, fundamentally changing the outlook for so many patients.
But even with that kind of, well, unprecedented success, Vertex isn't just sitting back. They launched a new CF drug, Alyftrek, in December 2024.
Right.
What's the strategy there? Why launch a new one when Trikafta is so dominant?
Good question. Alyftrek is this next-generation, once-daily triple combo regimen, and launching it serves a really important dual purpose for Vertex.
Okay.
First, it's a crucial new revenue stream. Projections are nearly $1 billion in its first year, 2025, potentially growing over $7 billion by 2030.
Big numbers.
Huge. But second, and this is critical strategically, it's a defense mechanism.
How so?
By offering a new, even more convenient and importantly patent-protected option, Vertex aims to actively transition patients from Trikafta onto Alyftrek.
Ah, okay. So it extends the life of the franchise.
Exactly. It extends the overall durability of their CF dominance, fortifies that revenue base against any potential future competition, and protects against Trikafta's eventual patent expirations years down the line. It's smart long-term planning.
So when we talk about this CF fortress, just how durable is it? Can anyone realistically challenge them?
It looks exceptionally strong. It's backed by a really robust patent estate expected to keep them exclusive well into the late 2030s.
Wow.
And the science here, the barrier to entry, has just proven incredibly high. Several large, well-funded pharma companies have tried to develop a competing CFTR modulator, and they've failed.
Like who?
Most notably, AbbVie. A huge player, right? After multiple setbacks, they actually publicly announced in April 2023 that their triple combo therapy just did not work.
Ouch.
Yeah, they completely stopped all CF development. And that very public failure by a major competitor, it just powerfully validates Vertex's deep scientific expertise. It shows how complex CFTR modulation really is. It basically reinforces their competitive moat. It's like a stamp of approval on their science.
Okay, so that CF fortress provides this incredibly secure financial foundation. But Vertex isn't just defending it. They're using it to launch offenses on new fronts. This is where the strategy really accelerates, right?
Yeah.
Building out these entirely new growth pillars.
Exactly. This is the future of the company beyond CF.
So what are these ambitious new areas? What's in this diverse late-stage pipeline?
We're talking about some really high-risk but potentially high-reward assets, targeting diseases with huge unmet needs, massive market potential. Things like Casgevy for genetic blood disorders,
Okay.
Jernavx for acute pain, Zimislecel for type 1 diabetes, Inaxaplin for a specific genetic kidney disease, and povetacicept from that Alpine acquisition for other autoimmune kidney diseases. It's quite a list.
Let's tackle those. Start with Casgevy-1, gene editing. This sounds genuinely historic.
It absolutely is. Casgevy, developed with their partner CRISPR Therapeutics, is literally the world's first approved therapy using CRISPR-Cas9 gene editing technology.
First ever. Wow.
Yeah, it's a one-time cell therapy designed to be a functional cure for severe sickle cell disease, SCD, and transfusion-dependent beta thalassemia, TDT.
How does it actually work? It edits genes?
It edits the patient's own stem cells. They take them out, edit them to essentially turn on a gene that produces fetal hemoglobin the type babies have.
Oh, okay.
This new hemoglobin then compensates for the faulty adult hemoglobin. It basically eliminates the painful crises in sickle cell and stops the need for constant blood transfusions in thalassemia.
And results.
The long-term clinical data is transformative, really durable benefits, over 93% of SCD patients staying free of crises. Similar success in TDT patients becoming transfusion independent.
Incredible potential. A functional cure for these lifelong conditions. But I gather the commercial launch hasn't been straightforward.
No, it's complex. First, there's the list price, $2.2 million per patient. That's obviously a major factor.
$2.2 million.
Yeah, and the treatment process itself is really tough on the patient. It requires something called myeloablative conditioning.
What's that?
It's basically a harsh form of chemotherapy to wipe out the patient's existing bone marrow before they infuse the newly edited cells back in.
Okay, so it's a major procedure.
A very major procedure. It requires a global network of highly specialized, authorized treatment centers, and building that out takes time. As of Q2 2025, they'd only started cell collection for about 115 patients, with just 29 having actually received the infusion.
And getting it paid for must be a challenge.
Reimbursement is critical. They have made progress, though. They set up an industry-first outcomes-based agreement with CMS in the U.S., where payment is actually tied to whether the treatment works for the patient.
Interesting approach.
Yeah.
Okay, let's shift gears to pain management. JurnaviX is being called a paradigm shift. What's so revolutionary about it?
JurnaviX, FDA approved in January 2025, is the first genuinely new class of medicine for moderate to severe acute pain in over 2 decades.
First new class in 20 years.
Yeah. It's an oral non-opioid,
Right.
and it's a highly selective inhibitor of something called the NaV1.8 sodium channel.
NaV 1.8.
Think of these channels as tiny pain gates on nerve cells. But what's crucial is that these specific NaV 1.8 gates are found almost exclusively in the peripheral nerves that sense pain out in the body, not in the brain or central nervous system.
So it targets the pain signal at the source.
Exactly. By selectively blocking this channel, it stops the pain signal from getting through, but without affecting the brain. So you avoid the risks associated with opioids, addiction, respiratory depression, sedation.
That's the non-opioid advantage.
That's the paradigm shift, a whole new way to tackle significant pain.
And the potential market for something like that.
It's enormous. Over 80 million Americans get prescribed medication for moderate to severe acute pain every year, post-surgery, injuries.
Huge numbers.
Huge. And the phase 3 data showed statistically significant, clinically meaningful pain reduction. Good safety profile, too.
Is it just for acute pain?
That's the first approval, but maybe the even bigger opportunity is in chronic pain. Vertex is already advancing it in trials for painful diabetic neuropathy, DPN. And they're planning a program for painful lumbosacral radiculopathy, think sciatica, basically. Together, those chronic conditions affect maybe 10 million people in the U.S. alone every year.
So massive potential beyond the initial launch. Okay, next up, zimislecel, type 1 diabetes. You mentioned unprecedented clinical data. Tell us about that.
Right, zimislecel. This is an allogeneic stem cell-derived islet cell therapy.
Allogeneic, meaning from a donor.
Correct. The cells come from a donor source, not the patient themselves. And these cells are designed to replace the insulin-producing beta cells that are destroyed by the immune system in type 1 diabetes, T1D.
Okay, replacing the lost cells.
And the results from the early phase 12 trial have been, well, really remarkable. All 12 patients who'd been followed for at least a year hit the key target for blood sugar control set by the American Diabetes Association. And they eliminated those dangerous, severe, low blood sugar events.
That's significant.
But here's the really stunning part. 10 out of those 12 patients, that's 83%, became insulin-free.
Insulin-free.
Yes. Their bodies were effectively regulating blood sugar on their own again.
Wow. That sounds like a functional cure.
It really does point towards that possibility.
So what's the catch? Why isn't this available more broadly yet?
The main limitation right now is the need for chronic immunosuppression. Because the cells come from a donor, the patient's immune system will try to reject them unless they take drugs to suppress it.
Ah, okay. Same issue as organ transplants.
Exactly. So currently, its use is pretty much limited to patients with the most severe, unstable T1D, maybe those already on immunosuppressants for a kidney transplant, for instance, where the benefit clearly outweighs the risk of the immunosuppression itself.
So overcoming that immune rejection hurdle is key.
That's the critical next step for wider use, and Vertex is aggressively tackling this. They've got 2 main strategies running in parallel.
What are they?
One is a device-based approach, basically encapsulating the cells in a device that protects them from the immune system but still lets insulin out. The other is using CRISPR gene editing again, this time to modify the donor cells themselves, trying to make them essentially invisible to the patient's immune system, a hypoimmune cell therapy.
Fascinating. And they acquired another company to help with this.
Yeah, their 2022 acquisition of ViaCyte significantly boosted their capabilities in both those areas, the device and the cell editing.
Okay, a lot happening in diabetes. Finally, let's touch on their push into kidney disease, starting with inaxaplin.
Right. Inaxaplin. This is another first-in-class drug, an oral small molecule, and it targets the underlying genetic cause of a specific condition called APOL1-mediated kidney disease, or AMKD.
AMKD. Oh.
This is a form of kidney disease that progresses really rapidly, and it disproportionately affects people of African ancestry. Critically, there are currently no approved treatments that target the root cause.
So a big unmet need.
Huge. And in an early phase 2A study, inaxaplin showed a statistically significant reduction in proteinuria, that's protein in the urine, a key sign of kidney damage, by almost 48%.
That's a strong signal.
Very strong. Strong enough that they moved it straight into a pivotal phase 23 adaptive trial. And there's potential for accelerated approval based on an interim analysis planned at week 48.
So that could move relatively quickly.
Potentially, yes.
And how does that big Alpine Immune Sciences acquisition, the $4.9 billion one, fit into this kidney disease strategy?
That acquisition really underscored Vertex's commitment to nephrology, to kidney disease, and also immunology. It signals they're pursuing a hybrid R&D strategy now,
Hybrid means
combining their powerful internal discovery engine with buying external, already somewhat de-risked assets.
got it. Best of both worlds.
Potentially. And the star asset from Alpine is a drug called povetacicept.
Povetacicept.
It's a potent inhibitor of two immune signaling proteins, BAFM and APRIL. It looks promising for several autoimmune kidney diseases. The lead one is IgA nephropathy, or IgAN.
IgAN. Okay.
And just for IgAN alone, peak sales estimates for povetacicept are over $3 billion. So that acquisition instantly makes Vertex a major player in a very competitive immunology nephrology space. It basically accelerated their diversification by years.
Okay, so we've mapped out the CF Foundation, this incredibly ambitious, diverse pipeline. What does it all mean for Vertex's overall market position? It feels like a massive shift.
It really is.
They're going from being, as we said, the big fish in a small pond, basically a monopolist in the niche CF market, to throwing themselves into these much bigger, much more crowded ponds, right?
Yeah.
Competing directly with the biggest pharma companies in the world.
That's the absolute crux of the transition. In CF, yes, their competitive moat is wide, deep, built over decades, patent protected.
It's our challenge.
Very hard. But as they expand into pain, diabetes, kidney disease, gene therapy, they were entering ecosystems with powerful, established incumbents. The game changes completely.
Let's make pain management. JourneyVX, what does that competitive landscape look like?
Well, JourneyVX enters a market traditionally dominated by cheap generics, opioids, and NSAIDs. Highly competitive. Now, its non-opioid selective mechanism is a huge differentiator, no question. But direct competition in its own class, the NaV 1.8 inhibitors, is already emerging.
All right. Who?
Eli Lilly, one of the biggest players. In May 2025, they announced they were acquiring a smaller company, SiteOne Therapeutics.
Okay.
And that deal gave Lilly control of STC-004, which is another oral NaV 1.8 inhibitor ready for phase 2 trials.
So head-to-head with Lilly right out of the gate.
Pretty much a direct race with one of the industry giants, plus other smaller biotechs working in the space too. It's not the CF monopoly situation at all.
Definitely not. What about type 1 diabetes? Zimislecel showed incredible promise, but are others chasing similar cell therapy solutions?
Oh yeah, the T1D cell therapy field is incredibly active, a hotbed of innovation. While Vertex's Zimislecel data looks perhaps the most advanced publicly, they absolutely face potential rivals. Companies like Cernova, they're also developing an implantable cell therapy device. And you cannot count out the established diabetes giants.
Like Novo Nordisk?
Exactly. Novo Nordisk, Lilly. They are heavily invested and committed to developing curative stem cell treatments for T1D themselves. And they bring, a century of experience in diabetes R&D and commercialization. It's a high-stakes race.
Okay. And the kidney disease space? Inaxaplin for AMKD seems unique.
It is. For now, Vertex is the clear frontrunner with inaxaplin. It's the only specific APOL1 inhibitor in pivotal trials. That's a big lead.
Yeah.
But the fact that the target, APOL1, is genetically validated means others are definitely interested. You're seeing alternative approaches in earlier stages, things like RNA-based medicines, maybe JAK-STAT inhibitors trying to tackle it indirectly.
So competition could emerge there, too.
It could. And in the broader rare kidney disease space, where povetacicept will play, companies like Travere Therapeutics are already established. They have approved products, late-stage candidates. Vertex will be the newcomer needing to carve out space.
So putting it all together, looking out over the next, say, 5 to 10 years, what does this monumental transformation really imply for Vertex's future? What's the strategic outlook?
Well, Vertex has, undeniably, leveraged that CF dominance brilliantly. They've used it to build one of the most promising, scientifically exciting, and diverse late-stage pipelines in the entire biotech industry.
So strengths are pretty clear.
Yeah, strengths. That dominant, durable, cash cow CF franchise, a massive financial war chest, over $12 billion in cash, and a proven world-class R&D engine.
Okay. Weaknesses.
Historically, that high revenue concentration just on CF, although that's exactly what they're trying to fix now,
Right.
and maybe limited commercial experience launching and competing in these big, broad, new markets outside of the specialized CF space. That's a different skill set.
Opportunities is huge, though.
Oh, massive. Market expansion into non-opioid pain, a potential functional cure for T1D, tackling genetic kidney diseases, leadership in cutting-edge genetic medicines like gene editing. The upside is enormous.
But there are threats, too.
Definitely. Intensifying competition from large pharma, as we just discussed. Potential pricing pressure, especially for these very high-cost therapies like Diversified. Significant execution risk launching multiple major drugs in different areas all around the same time globally is incredibly complex.
Yeah, that sounds like a huge operational challenge.
It is. And then there's just the inherent risk in drug development, clinical setbacks, unexpected trial results, regulatory hurdles. Those are always possibilities.
So, given that mix of strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, what are the absolute key things we should be watching for, the catalyst that will really determine if this transformation succeeds?
The number one driver of long-term growth is going to be successful execution on this post-CF pipeline. Simple as that. Can they deliver?
So specifics to watch through, say, 2030.
Okay, key things. One, strong commercial uptake of Jorna VX in acute pain. Does it really take off? And then positive pivotal trial data for it in chronic neuropathic pain. That's the bigger market.
Okay, what else?
Two, continued positive data from the main part of the zimislecel trial in T1D.
Yeah.
And crucially, do they make real progress on developing a version that doesn't require immunosuppression? That's the game changer there.
Right. Number 3.
Positive data from that interim analysis of the inaxaplin pivotal trial in AMKD. Does it look good enough for potential accelerated approval?
Kidney disease progress.
Yep. 4, successful integration of Alpine Immune Sciences. Does that acquisition work smoothly? And do they get positive phase 3 data for povetacicept in IgAN?
Okay. And finally,
don't forget CF. Sustained growth there is still important, driven by the launch of Alyftrek and continued expansion into younger patient groups. They need that engine to keep running smoothly to fund everything else. It's definitely a full plate.
it really is. So how is Wall Street viewing all this? This level of ambition, but also this level of risk. What's the valuation story look like?
Generally, Wall Street analysts seem broadly positive. The consensus rating is typically a buy or moderate buy.
Yep.
The average 12-month price target is hovering around $496, which suggests, potential upside of over 25% from where it's trading currently. And you see big firms like Goldman Sachs explicitly citing this diversification strategy as a key reason for their bullish outlook.
And how does its valuation compare to peers? Is it expensive? Cheap?
It trades at a bit of a premium compared to some other large-cap biotech peers, but the argument is that it offers a superior growth profile. Its forward price-to-earnings ratio, the PE ratio, is around 20 to 22 times earnings.
Is that reasonable?
It's generally considered pretty reasonable, actually, given that they're projecting double-digit revenue growth over the next few years. That's significantly higher growth than many of its bigger, more mature competitors are forecasting, so you pay a bit more for that growth potential.
Okay, so let's bring it all home. We've traced the journey from rational drug design through the Incivec lesson, the CF fortress, the financial engine, and now this massive, bold pivot into multiple new frontiers. What's the bottom line for Vertex Pharmaceuticals?
I think Vertex represents a really compelling, though definitely complex, long-term growth story in biotech. They have absolutely masterfully leveraged that CF monopoly, used it to build one of the most innovative, scientifically exciting late-stage pipelines out there, period.
They've de-risked from relying on just one thing.
Exactly. They've successfully shifted away from that single franchise reliance, and now they are genuinely poised to launch a whole wave of potentially transformative therapies into large new markets.
But the risk profile has changed.
It has. The primary risk isn't so much about the basic science discovery anymore. Can they find a drug? It's shifted. Now it's about execution. Commercial execution, clinical execution across multiple, very different, highly competitive therapeutic areas all at once.
That's the challenge.
That's the main challenge. However, the potential rewards, if they pull it off, are just substantial. These new assets could realistically more than double the company's revenue over the next decade.
Double the revenue.
Yeah. So given their strong financial position, their proven management team, that track record of scientific excellence, and what looks like a reasonable valuation considering the growth, I'd say the potential for significant long-term value creation here really does seem to outweigh those considerable execution risks. It's a high-stakes bet, but one with a potentially massive payoff.
So we've seen how Vertex Pharmaceuticals has really embarked on this incredibly ambitious transformation, leveraging that unparalleled success in cystic fibrosis to fund a bold, almost audacious expansion into new, challenging therapeutic areas.
Yeah, from cutting-edge gene therapies like Cascar-Foy to non-opioid pain relief with Jorna-VX, potential functional cures for type 1 diabetes with Zisnasala targeting genetic kidney disease, they are pushing boundaries across the board.
But as we've discussed, with that ambition comes this huge task.
Yeah.
Competing head-on with industry giants on completely new battlegrounds where they don't have that built-in advantage.
It's the next chapter, and it's going to be fascinating to watch.
It really is.
Yeah.
And Vertex's strategic pivot, fueled by that never-be-out-innovated ethos and just massive financial firepower, it really opens up a fascinating question for us to leave you with. If this diversification strategy really works, if they successfully launch these new blockbusters, which other historically unsolvable diseases might they decide to tackle next? Where could this model go?
Yeah.
Think about the broader implications, not just for Vertex, but for the future of drug discovery and patient access across the entire biotech landscape.